Hello, this is my first check-in for my video game development class. I have two features to show off today. One of them being minor and the other being work in progress. So the first one is I figured out how to fix my raycast issue that I was having, where every time I hovered over an object, the reticle would just remain static and wouldn't enlarge at first. But I decided to change it so the cursor, it's invisible right now, but when it hovers over an item that I could pick up or that's in the pickups group, it reveals itself. It's not smooth or anything, but I may or may not come back to it later. Who knows? But if I were to go into my code and here's my raycast, it turns out that because I have the key, the node 3D set inside the groups, whenever the raycast hit, it was hitting either of these. I don't know exactly which one, but I think it's the static body 3D. Well, it was getting that static body 3D instead of the key as a whole. So I had to add a piece of code within my raycast one that basically says that if the object is not in pickups, but it is an object, it will instead get its parent node, which is this key. And because that object is in groups, it should start working, which allows all of this to work. And obviously these are reveal and hide reticles. These are just either true or false. There's no special animations for them. But yes, that allows it to work. And as for my inspect system, if I come up and I click either E or mouse 1, it should put me in a little screen and it'll play like sort of fade in, like a smooth transition basically. Something like Resident Evil or The Long Dark. So boom, as you can see, it's a little glitchy because yeah, it looks like it was just coming out of the ground, but I just have to mess with the vector 3 values a little bit, or even the my what is it, inspect holder. But yes, the key is basically glued to my mouse, which I don't want. I'm gonna try to fix it so that I can like click and hold and rotate it doing that. But for now, this is what I got. If I could do 360s, and obviously, the duplicated object will rotate, while the original asset is, as you saw, it disappeared. But with this, I can zoom in and out, and I utilized lerp and clamp functions in order to both smoothly zoom in and out, and also clamp it to values so the object can't go either behind the camera or out of bounds. But it can still clip through items, and um, I do not know if there's a way to circumvent that. So for now, it's just gonna have to make do. But that's pretty much all for my inspect system. If I click, what is it? If I click interact again, it should, what is it? It should activate the queue free function, and it just deletes it. For some reason, the collision box is still here, so I can still interact with it, and nothing happens though. And if I click interact, it's still there. So that's all for in-game, and here is my code. As you can see here are my zoom values, my inspected item that I set to null. I'll go to player, and then set a variable name placeholder, which is for this inspect holder, that as you can see is just right in front of the player and the camera. Here's my raycast, this blue line. Back to the code. Scrolling down, I showed the raycast stuff already. Going down, so here is the inspect stuff. So this is when you are in the inspect mode. If if mouse wheel up or down is used, it will either add or subtract from the zoom distance. And here is the clamp and lerp functions. This is the rotate speed down here. And if the interact button is clicked again while in that inspect mode, it starts, it calls a stop inspect function, which sets the value to false, unpauses the game, and allows mouse mode captured. It allows the character to look around, basically. And the inspected item itself, the one that appears on screen, gets deleted and it sets the item to null. So if we go back, and this is out of the inspecting, so if I was just walking around and if I click interact on an object that you can interact with, it will try to inspect them, and it starts this function. Which basically will ignore anything, or it'll ignore everything that is not in the pickups group. So the key. And it will do the same thing. It will get the parent node and it will basically just grab that item and make a duplicate of it, which you will see in the start inspect. So this is the meat and potatoes right here. So it sets inspecting to true. This kind of, yeah, these are kind of contradicting each other, but I'll have to fix that later. It pauses the game. Here it duplicates the object that it grabs. It sets the transform origin, so it will move the inspect holder away from the screen at a set position. Away from the camera, I mean, sorry. And then tween, it will play a little animation of the item appearing. So I'll show that again in kind of clear. So if you watch the item itself, it'll do like a little, like a, it's like almost like you're grabbing it, sort of. But that's that. And obviously scale it down so it becomes very small, small enough that it fits in the camera. And the original object, it gets shut off. So I think something that I do have to fix though, I want to add an instance or a case where if I'm in the inspect mode and it's going to be something like here, where if I instead click escape, it's going to be like put down the item so that the item doesn't delete itself for whatever reason if the player doesn't want to pick it up at that time. It'll still make the object visible and pick upable again. But that is pretty much all the